All right. I wrestled a bear once. Was it late for nothing?
I wrestled a bear once.
Late for nothing. Late for nothing. Late for nothing. I'm gonna be one of those people that annoy the crap out of me. The first album was the best. Now that we got that out of the way, in my opinion, I like the first album more than the second. The second is good, and now this new album. Alright, the first things that I noticed with this album is that the guitars are very produced well, but they're produced, I feel that's so tight that they're tiny, and they don't really make such an impression on me. They toned down a lot since since their early music that was so absolutely crazy, which any band should do. You start out, you're juvenile, crazy and everything, then you evolve into your sound. You come into what you know. Unless barely any band will just hit it right off from the beginning and have something that's, good that they do for the rest of their lives. Most bands will come into their sound. And where the direction they were heading into in their second album, I didn't. I don't know that sound I made. Their second album, I didn't hate it, but it was toned down a lot. And all right, Jimmy's. Their third album now, it's very they've gotten into this sound that I think they're going to stick with. Biggest thing, first thing you'll notice, Krista had a baby out of the band, and they brought in Courtney LaPlante. Unless it's like some like French thing, it's LaPlante, but I guess it's LaPlante. I'm guessing it's Courtney. She can sing a lot better than Krista. That's the one thing you'll notice. If you listen to their video that they released a while ago, they still have weird song names. Boat Paddle. Courtney is a much better singer than Krista. No offense to Krista. But where Krista beats Courtney is definitely in the screaming. Courtney, I feel... Boat Paddle is my favorite song off this album. It's so catchy. The chorus and everything. Courtney can sing, but when it comes to the screaming, it's almost like she can't hold it. She blurts out every word, and she gets all kind of breathy, and it did sound kind of raw, which is cool, but she didn't hold notes for a while like Krista would have done. Like, some of Krista's work on It's All Happening completely blew my mind. Some of the best screaming vocal work that I've heard on any album. Some notes Krista held until it became so guttural that it sounded like her stomach just came out of her butt. But where Courtney falls short is the quick screams, the inability to really hold something, to really get the same high, the same low as Krista. In some parts, Courtney kind of gets sort of low, but she doesn't have the same high. She doesn't have the range. She doesn't have the ability, I think, that Krista has. And it's very hard to measure up to Krista. She is an incredible vocalist. For being a female, and most metal bands have male vocalists when it comes to screaming, even singing, she definitely holds her own. But I feel that Courtney, while being better at singing, clean singing, a lot better, I think, just fell short in that. And when quite a bit of the album is screaming, it did kind of wear on me to the point where I had to say something. Now the singing is good and everything, and the guitars, I felt that they were too quiet at some parts. And like in the song Boat Paddle, where you have that build up part, and then it kind of goes into this like explosion of just explosion part, I guess, a breakdown. It didn't have the right effect. It should have been a lot heavier. It should have been a lot heavier, louder, more raw, aggressive and everything. It just sounded so tightly produced, and thin that it didn't have much an effect on me. Where Stephen Bradley and John Gainey are two of the most inventive and creative guitarists in metal, you have to admit, I felt that even taking into account a performance from Steve Vai on this album, that it just wasn't what it used to be. But for what it is now, I understand that. I can't always compare it to what it used to be. I don't want to be one of those people. For what it is now, it was good in some songs, but it just didn't have that right feeling. It didn't keep me listening. When I bought this album and Between the Buried and Me's, Alaska, and Born of Osiris' new album not too long ago, I tried to restrain myself from listening to Alaska. And between Born of Osiris, who I've never been all that fond of, and I Wrestled Bear Once, I ended up listening to Born of Osiris more. Because this album didn't really draw me in. Aside of the song Boat Pal, which over and over again I say is very good, the rest of the songs just didn't have that same effect. Like, songs like Thunder Chunky were good, and I know the song. I'm bad with the song name. Snake Charmer, I'm pretty sure it is. It's a good song. But it just didn't reel me in. It didn't capture me. It was a disappointment, honestly. Parts of it were cool, but overall, when you get past the cool parts, a lot of it I was just like, well, I'm just listening to it. And, those albums where you listen to it and you drone through it, and, sometimes it's so good that it finishes quickly, or it's so good and it just lasts and it's good, you're having a good time, or, it's so bad that you just drone through it. This album, which is it didn't capture me the right way, and I couldn't really listen to all of it. I had to force myself to listen to it, is what I'm saying. So, you might like it. It is, I don't know. It's still Iwrestledabearonce in a way. It's where they're progressing, and I guess I'm not, super into it. The vocals were a bit of a downer aside of the clean singing. The production was meh. It just, some of the guitar work didn't impress me. But that's my review. This album, I'll give it like 6.5 or 7 out of 10. And this is coming from a band that I like a lot, or I used to really like. I like a lot of their older material, and I don't want to be that guy that compares everything to the first album, but, it is what it is.